Hi, it's Beth here from Modernised Spirituality. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be all about the law of assumption. I've been thinking of a topic to record, a video to record that's going to be most beneficial and practical for, the current circumstances, with a lot of us being isolated and quarantined and things. I wanted this to be a video that was going to be useful during this time. We've got all of this time to look within, we've got all of this time to reflect on any blockages that we might have. We've got all of this free time if you're not working, obviously. The law of assumptions. What is the law of assumptions? So, as our thoughts create our reality, everything that we think is planting a seed to create a manifestation. So if we have a thought of I'm not good enough, if this is a prominent thought that comes to mind quite a lot, so you don't feel good enough, you're thinking about, you reflect a lot on past experiences which made you have that emotion and that thought that made you think that you're not good enough. So it could be, for example, if it was like with an ex-boyfriend or with a parent that made you not feel not good enough, or if it was an experience in school, things like that. We tend to have these thoughts, and then we have these experiences that link with the thoughts, which create the thoughts in the first place, because we're experiencing the same emotions, the same thoughts from the same experiences. Therefore, because it's this cycle, what is then happening is, because we keep thinking these thoughts, then we keep repeating the same cycle, planting the same seeds, and creating the same manifestations. So a manifestation is basically an experience, I guess you could say. So when you're having these thoughts, that's creating a certain emotion, and then this emotion is creating a certain behaviour, and then this certain behaviour is creating a certain experience, because you're taking an action which is creating an experience. Because it all starts with the thought, obviously it's an infinite loop, so the thought is based off something from the subconscious. So there's not really a start or an end, to be fair, because it's just such a continuous cycle. But the way to break through these patterns and through these cycles is to acknowledge the thoughts. So they're the base of your experience. If you have this thought of unworthiness, if you are aware that this thought's coming into your head, write it down. So write down all of these assumptions that you currently have in your mind that are repeating, day in, day out. So write down all of the, the biggest complaints that you have about life at the moment. It doesn't have to be something that's material, it could be something that's a behavioural pattern. So for example, it could be that your biggest complaint is that you have low self-confidence. So then what you'd write down is, I have low self-confidence, I have low self-esteem. So just get all of these thoughts out. So once you write them down on paper, it's easy to be able to look at them and think, okay, so this is the list of problems and the list of thoughts that are creating these unwanted emotions and these unwanted experiences. So when you get them down, you put down, I am not worthy. What you can do even further, if you wanted to, even further, is you could figure out why you feel unworthy in the first place. So you could go even deeper and think, right, so when was the first time I felt unworthy? So say if it was for, if it was your partner, for example, you had like an abusive partner in the past, or an abusive parent, or like say something happened in school, then you go back to that memory. So let's use the partner example, and then what you can do is realise that this experience that you had with your partner then created this belief that, yeah, you've got this belief that you're not good enough. But let's go deeper than that. Why do you feel not good enough? And what is it that you don't feel good enough for? So it could be that you don't feel good enough to receive love, if in the past your experience of love was a little bit different. It could be that you feel like you're not worthy of a relationship. It could be that you feel that you're, any of these. If we go back to the ex example, so say if your ex-partner said you were boring, uninteresting, all this sort of stuff, then when you actually dig deeper into it, you feel unworthy because you feel like people aren't interested and you feel boring. So then what you can do is you can look at this, get a clear understanding of what your thoughts are and where they come from. So that's number one, getting clear on your thoughts. And then the second step is to flip the assumption. So when you flip in the assumption, you are literally creating the opposite to what your thoughts are. So I am not good enough. So you've got this written down on your piece of paper, and then you flip it. So I am good enough. I am worthy. I am enough. And then again with the other one, so when you dig deeper and you find out the core reasons, so say if it's people find me boring, you flip it. People find me interesting. People love hearing my stories. People love talking to me about topics that interest me. And so that's number 2, so it's to flip those assumptions. The third step is to do the inner work. So when you identify the blockage, then like I say, flip the assumption, so you've got this new assumption, but then in the meantime, whilst that new assumption is the seeds are being planted and it's coming to fruition. So once you say people find me interesting, people love hearing my stories, you've planted that seed that people are going to start listening to your stories and finding you interesting. However, in the meantime, while it's growing and while it's coming to fruition, what we have to do is we have to water the seed, we have to tend to the seed, we have to fill the seed with love and compassion to help it grow and come to fruition. Now, the way that we help the seed grow, the way that we nurture the seed and tend to the seed, is tending to our own self. Do the shadow work. If you flip all of these assumptions but don't do any inner work, then you're not going to experience on the outside what you actually want, because the inside doesn't reflect that. So say with the example again of being unworthy, in the meantime, while you're waiting for this to come to fruition and you're waiting for these opportunities where people are like, oh my god, I find you so interesting, like I'm intrigued by it so much, while we're waiting for that to happen, there is a bit of a time delay, because obviously the seed's been planted and then it has to grow, and there's something called a bridge of incidents, which means that events have to come together to create the manifestation itself. So for example, you would need to build up the inner confidence to be able to have a conversation with someone about your interests, to then create that bridge of incidents and create that event where the opportunity for your manifestation is in front of you. So if you do the inner work, you're very self-confident, and then you have the confidence to be able to go out and meet new people, then when you're meeting those new people, that's bringing you into the bridge of incidents where it's this opportunity for your manifestation to appear. So if you're sat at home and you're anxious and you're not putting yourself out there to speak to anyone, then you're not actually giving yourself that space for your manifestation to come to fruition, because you're not actually taking any inspired action to be able to get to that point, if that makes sense. So that's why it's really important to do the inner work. Now, inner work can range from, it could be to do some meditation, it could be to do some affirmations. You could just every single day, every morning, just write down on a journal or whatever, or you can even say it in your head, or you can even visualize it, depends, what works best for you. But you can create affirmations every single morning. I intend to feel worthy, I intend to feel enough, I intend to feel worthy of a relationship, I intend to be interesting, and then you just keep going every single day, just keep at it, and the consistency is what's going to build this belief, and therefore this belief is going to seep into your thoughts, and your new thoughts, instead of being I'm not good enough, your new thoughts are going to be actually no, yeah, I am good enough. So I am going to put myself out there into these new situations, and then it opens up space for all these amazing things to happen. Now, obviously, with us being isolated and quarantined, we can't exactly go out and do something like that, and go out and put ourselves in situations where there's lots of chance for, many possibilities. So what we can do while we're in isolation, we can use assumptions to connect deeper with our family members. So if you have if you struggle with your relationship with your family members, you could have an assumption, me and my family members get on really, really well. Or it could be, me and my family members always have deep soul connecting conversations. Or it could be that you intend and assume that you that everything's working out for you. So that's an amazing one during this time, is if you're getting anxious because of the unknown, a great assumption to do. So you do your first assumption, I am anxious of the unknown. You flip it, you could either say, I love change, I love the unknown, or you can just say, I know things are always working out for me. And then you have to just work on them in the meantime. So why are you so scared of the unknown? Is it because of something that you went through as a child? Is it because you feel a lack of security and safety, which tends to relate to father wounds? Is it that you're scared of losing someone in this unknown period, and you're very codependent with someone, and again that stems from childhood neglect and things like that. So it's a really good way to set an intention on how you want to feel and how you want to what emotions and what thoughts you want to feel and express. That's what I think this time during isolation and quarantine is perfect for, is to connecting with our inner self, connecting with our true self, figuring out who we are. That even could be an intention. I intend to express my 100% true self. I intend to discover a new aspect of myself. I intend to be clear on my desires. And again, like, why were you not clear on your desires previously? So use this time as a good thing. Use this time in quarantine and isolation as a retreat. Use it as a time of self-love, a time of going in, a time of reflecting, a time of healing. And yeah, like I say, that can be an intention within itself. I intend for this time in quarantine to be of positive impact. Just play around with it. Intend to get a comment on a photo, intend for an old friend to message you, intend to get something for free. You know what I mean? So you can do so many different things with it. Just play around with it. Don't take it too seriously. Literally play around with it. Try it with things that don't have much attachment at first, and you'll find, because they have the least resistance, so something like, I intend to get an old message from a friend, it's not something that you're emotionally attached to, because you probably don't really care if a friend messages you or not. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So if it doesn't happen, you're not gonna be like, oh, they didn't message me, like, oh no. But then if they do message you, you're gonna be like, my intention worked, my manifestation has come to fruition. Boom, that builds up a belief that the more you do these intentions, the more they're going to come to fruition. And it just creates this whole cycle where it makes you more in control of your life. And especially during this time where we feel like we have no control, it gives us that sense of control, really. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've got any other suggestions or anything that you'd like me to do whilst we're isolated and quarantined, then just leave a comment or just send me a message. And remember to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.